We shall now begin our afternoon's conference. May we put our hands together and invite Mr. Toki Andrea Majanto to help us introduce the next panel discussion. Mr. Toki Andrea Majanto, please.
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs,
yesterday, when we began our meeting, Africa was one of the continents that was being honored. And we received a lot of information concerning dialogue between the different faiths in that part of the world. Today, it is a great honor for us to learn a little more about another part of the world, and this is Oman. We would like to thank the permanent delegation of the Sultanate of Oman to UNESCO, particularly Excellency Dr. Samira Mohamed Moosa Al-Moosa, who is the ambassador and the permanent delegate of the Sultanate of Oman to UNESCO, to have agreed to co-organize this conference with us. We would also like to thank the team that is here on the stage with us for the excellent presentations and exhibitions that have been organized in the hallway that we have already visited and that we can visit again and again. And you can have your name, her calligraphied in her Arabic. We also ask you, if you so wish, to visit the exhibition and learn a little more about this very beautiful country, which I was fortunate enough to visit, thanks to the support extended by her Ambassador Moosa Al-Moosa, and this along with some other ambassadors from UNESCO. It's a wonderful country, very beautiful country, and we have here amongst us representatives of the country, but also we have with us Dr. Samira Mohamed Moosa Al-Moosa, who is the ambassador and permanent delegate of the Sultanate of Oman to UNESCO, but also, as I said, Mr. Mohamed Saeed Al-Mamari, who is the advisor to the Minister of Endowments and Religious Affairs and director of the project Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence of Oman's Message of Islam. We also have Mr. Georg Popp with us. He's the Vice Director of the Tolerance, Understanding and Coexistence project. And Mr. Riaz Ravat, who's the Vice Director of the St. Philip's Center in Leicester. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Ambassador, allow me to give you the floor first.
Mr. Toki, for your kind introduction. We just, of course, came back after lunch, and our organizer has been very generous and hospitable. So we decided that after this lunch, so we make sure that nobody snooze, we kind of changed our discussion of the panel. The way we're going to do it, we would like it to be more interactive. So I'm going to present my first speakers, and then my first speaker will take it from there and make it an interactive with our second and third speakers to keep you more in tune of what's happening. Before I give them the floor, I'd like to say a few words. The previous panelists have shared with us their rich experiences, perspectives, and thoughts about peace. This panel brings together 3 speakers who will offer from their different points of view an insight into Oman's values of tolerance and understanding. These values, stemming from the history of rich cultural exchange in Oman, continue to be fostered and sustained through our national policies, namely through global citizenship education, as well as our international approach of non-interference, dialogue, and peace building. So allow me to present Mr. Reza Ravat, if he allows me to say a few words about him. Okay. Of course, he's the Deputy Director of St. Philip's Centre, a UK charity which works to advance interfaith relations through education and engagement. Mr. Ravat is also the advisory board member of BARAZA, the head of strategy to the UK government's cross-governmental anti-Muslim hatred working group, and also a member of Her Majesty the Queen's Honour Committees. And he has a lot more, but for the sake of time, I hope he allows me to give him the floor. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Your Excellencies, Venerable Master Chin Kung, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, good afternoon. 2018 marks 100 years since women first had the right to vote in the United Kingdom. All of our countries still have a long way to go in tackling discrimination, but I have been very warmed by the vital role women are playing at the highest and grassroots levels to bring about peace. This conference is a fantastic example of that. I would like to thank all the volunteers and UNESCO staff who have worked extremely hard to put this event together. You should be proud of what has been achieved. Friends, I come from Leicester, a city in the middle of the United Kingdom, which is famous for finding the bones of a dead king under a car park. The University of Leicester also pioneered DNA fingerprinting. But Leicester is also the most plural city in the UK. We have a saying that you should never always believe what the newspapers say, but back in 2013, a national newspaper described Leicester as the most multicultural city on the planet. Now, since I am at UNESCO, I will happily accept that statement. I am very humbled to be able to address you here at UNESCO. It is a deep honour. It is also a great privilege to speak to you about a country I have come to know for a number of years now. This country, Oman, is at the vanguard of promoting peace. The Sultanate is developing a societal-based approach which replaces intolerance with inclusion and levers harmony over hate. Now, I have a few slides to show you. This is, of course, beyond the halfway stage of the conference. You've all had lunch. Some of you hopefully are not falling asleep, but the pressure's on me to keep you awake. So here goes. We are going to play a game. Which one is Oman? Now, if I go around and ask each and every one of you what the answer is, I'll be told off by Her Excellency, so I won't be doing that. Which one? The answer is bottom right. So if you've been to our exhibition, you'd have noticed the flag there. So that's Oman. Now here we go. I'm raising the bar a little in terms of the quiz, you've noticed. I could have gone back to the previous one and asked you to name every single country, but that would be cruel, so I won't do that. Here we go. You may recognize some of these symbols. Now, I won't necessarily give you the answer to all of them, but some of the world faiths that you have seen over the course of the week are present here. There are, of course, so many more, but here is just an example of the kind of diversity and the inclusion that's promoted by Oman. Maybe we can take part in this quiz. So come on, let's make this interactive. I want you to shout out answers. So, which religion or belief do you think these individuals belong to? So top left. Top left, come on. Top left. Islam, yes. Top middle. Sikh, well done. Top right. Christian, thank you. Bottom left. Buddhist, excellent. Middle, bottom. Hindu, brilliant. To get 100%. Bottom right. Jewish, wonderful. We might as well all go home because you've got the answers to everything. Well done. However, try this. That was easy. This is a bit more difficult, isn't it? This is a bit more challenging. Now, I am hoping that there are no Paris Saint-Germain football fans here tonight, because my favourite picture is the one on the bottom left of the Liverpool footballer who, of course, played Paris Saint-Germain tonight. But this is a bit more difficult, isn't it? It's harder. Quite often, we have images of that, and yes, there are people who look and practice their faiths in that fashion, but we also have that. The world also has a lot of diversity. We can often get fixated by stereotypes and images and names, but it's much more complex than that. We also have here, just out of interest, we have a Hindu in here, we have a Muslim, we have a Buddhist, we have an atheist, we have a Sikh, we have Christians, we have a whole variety. Anybody know what these images are? So it's an underground somewhere, yes. So these are, if I asked you which one is the London Underground here, right or left? Right, left. Half of you are going to say right, half of you will say left. So you've got the answer. The answer is both of them. They are both the London Underground. On the right is the actual drawing of the Underground, the way it works, curvy lines crossing over. On the right, you've got the actual one. On the left, with the colours, is the Underground how we understand it, with different colours, straight lines, to help us understand and help us process this better. Now, the reason why I have presented these slides to you in this fashion is because all too often we are forced to make polarized decisions, left or right, in or out, east or west, north or south. But the reality is far more complex. Through these slides, I hope that I've encouraged you to question and to think critically. In other words, don't judge a book by its cover. This is what the Oman exhibition meant to me. It challenged positions and perceptions. As well as the exhibition, we hosted a concert and a lecture. By speaking to people directly, the conditions for trust and respect were created. Finally, an added bonus of hosting the exhibition was the positive impact it had on intra-faith relations. It is often easier to look over the garden fence to your neighbours from other religions, but it can often be so much more challenging and difficult to accept within one's own space. I will now hand over to Mohamed Al-Mamari, who will describe the exhibition in more detail, and he will tell you more about the roots of coexistence in Oman. Thank you.
Well, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Mohamed Al-Mamari from Oman, who works as scientific advisor to the Omani Ministry of Endowment and Religious Affairs, and is director of the global project that he will explain to us right now, Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence, Oman's Message of Islam. Mr. Al-Mamari studied in UK and Germany, visited more than 60 countries to spread the true message of Islam. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. It is my deep honor to be here in the UNESCO to deliver my speech on Oman's roots of peaceful coexistence. I would like to express my deep thanks and gratitude for this invitation and to the support shown for this initiative. This gathering today represents the example of mutual understanding and tolerance due to the diversity of the people who are here. Being open to new experiences, ideas, knowledge is essential in creating a common ground with others. A person of us might fully disagree, challenge, and even contradict with anyone on any issue, from religion to politics, from food to sport, from lifestyle to different choices, while at the same time respecting those different opinions and treating them justly. In the coming minutes, the speech will try to give an overall introduction about Oman in terms of its values and tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, in this one world where human beings of different backgrounds, ethnicity, cultures, and religion are living together, where the societies has become multicultural and full of diversity, establishing harmony has become very crucial, and fostering peaceful coexistence has become vital. Without peaceful coexistence, the lasting peace of nations cannot be preserved, and a common ground between people cannot be established. Lack of coexistence leads the way to violence, and it destroys the peace and stability of mankind. When people or even nations fail in their dialogue, they become intolerant, and then they use force, rudeness, and aggression to support their opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is faced with many challenges: political, economic, diplomatic, social, and religion. These challenges must not cause us to react with anger, but with ambition. The Middle East has exported one of the great world religions, which to this day has shaped the values, choices, and habits of millions of people. This region should now construct and promulgate a global paradigm for peace. Oman, which I come from, is an ideal candidate to lead this agenda as a consequence to its confirmed reputation as an advocate for mutual respect. It is strategically well placed to spearhead a new international drive for religious understanding. Geographically, Oman's near neighbors include both Sunni and Shia heartland. It is a short path to the world's largest democracy and has historical trading routes which link up to the world's most populous countries. For thousands of years, Omanis have traded in peace with others, with other cultures. Politically, Oman has open and trusted relationships with all countries, including those farther afield in the Far East, Africa, North America, and Europe. This makes Oman the ideal standard messenger of the message calling for mutual understanding. Miran Jida wrote in 2017, he says, Oman has managed to stay out of disputes, maintaining good relationships within Western allies and other Middle Eastern countries, including Iran, and it has managed to fend off threats of ISIS and other extremist groups. In 2015, the International Center for the Study of Radicalization and Political Violence at London's King's College found that not a single Omani has joined the more than 20,000 foreign fighters battling alongside ISIS. He added, the country's efforts at staying out of the region's war have paid off. In November, the Sydney-based Institute for Economic and Peace released its annual Global Terrorism Index, which assesses the impact of terrorism on 163 countries on a scale from 0 to 10. Just 34 countries scored 0. Oman was the only country in the Middle East among that grouping. End of quotation. The Sultanate is effectively handling all that related to terrorism and sectarian intolerance. Besides, the Sultanate ratified the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing Terrorism in 2011 and has set up a system for fighting money laundering and terrorist financing in 2002. As a seafaring nation, Oman has been engaged for centuries in intercultural exchange with people around Indian Ocean, reaching as far as China. Freedom of religion is guaranteed in the Sultanate of Oman, where there has historically been mutual acceptance, understanding, and peaceful coexistence among its diverse religious communities. Throughout history, members of other faiths were found in Oman: Christians, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, and others. Upon the principles of religious tolerance, their presence was accepted in the past centuries, and they were not discriminated against due to their religious affiliation. Oman's 5,000 years old history of trade has also left its imprint throughout the land, where there developed a unique climate of openness and tolerance. As noted in this quote from the Englishman John Ovington, chaplain to King James II, on his visit to Oman, 1633. He says, "These Arabians are very courteous and extremely civil to all strangers. They offer neither violence or affront to any. And though they are very tenacious of their own principles and admirers of their religion, yet do they never impose it upon any. A man may travel hundreds of miles in this country and never meet with any abusive language or any behavior that looks rude, End of quotation. Minorities which were persecuted elsewhere found respite and a home in Oman, where they were amicably integrated into society. Carsten Niebuhr, a German traveler, visited Oman on January 3rd, 1765. He reported, "Banyans from India are settled in great numbers in the commercial city." He means Muscat. "At Mocha, they suffer many mortifications, but in Muscat, among the tolerant sect of Ibadi, they are permitted to observe the laws and cultivate worship of their own religion without disturbance." End of quotation. In 1824, Captain Georg, a British traveler, visited Muscat while coming back from India to England. He characterizes the Muslims of Oman as follows: "They worship no saints and have neither convents nor dervishes. They have a great regard for justice and a universal toleration of other religion." End of quotation. The American businessman and diplomat Edmund Roberts visited Sayyid Sa'id bin Sultan, the Emperor of Oman, in 1833 and reported about the ruler of Oman. He said, "All religions within the Sultan's dominions are not merely tolerated, but they are protected by His Highness. And there is no obstacle whatever to prevent the Christians, the Jews, or the Gentile from preaching their peculiar doctrines or erecting temples." End of quotation. Today, the Sultanate of Oman has been sharing its peaceful philosophy at home and abroad. Today, under the guidance of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said, has been promoting interfaith dialogue upon the guidance of His Majesty. As he emphasizes in his speech in Majlis Oman in 2006, he says, "The path we have followed in our foreign policy over the past decades has shown itself to be both sound and effective, with God's guidance. We are committed to this approach, which supports justice, peace and security, and tolerance and love, which calls for international cooperation in order to reinforce stability, promote growth and prosperity, and tackle the causes of tension in international relations by producing just and permanent solutions to critical problems, which fosters peaceful coexistence between nations, and which generates well-being and prosperity for the whole of mankind." End of quotation. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to share with you this short documentary film done by a filmmaker, Wolfgang Itlich, from Germany, about the current situation on peaceful coexistence in Oman.
The Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs in Oman oversees all religious communities, and it encourages dialogue and discussion among the various religions, with the aim of raising awareness of the ethics, morality, and sense of justice which they have in common. Not only Muslims live in Oman. Many guest workers from the Far East, India, or Europe are followers of other religions. As a result of the Ibadi principle of religious tolerance, both in the past and also today, they have never been discriminated against. Today, the state guarantees the free practice of religion. It is forbidden to proselytize, even for Muslim believers. As a result, the most varied religions can be found in Muscat, the capital of the country. Here, Catholics, Protestants, Hindus, Copts, Buddhists and Orthodox Christians can be found at prayer next door to one another.
Good evening, my dear brothers and sisters. Good evening. One God forever and ever.
Here we have a very good freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of thoughts. It's one of the best nations among the GCC which I have found. I have traveled across Europe, US, and being an Indian, experienced Christianity in India also, but I find here it's very liberal and
very nice and peaceful.
Every Friday we come here, every Friday. So some people, they come every day. Yes.
On Fridays, most believers gather here. In Oman, Friday is the day of rest and relaxation, the equivalent of Sunday in the Christian world.
Let us bow our heads, close our eyes, and look to our prayer-answering, miracle-working, only living God in prayer. Lord Jesus, we come to you with an evening's blessing to seal within our hearts the inspirations and memories of this day. Today does not look any different than yesterday. Our circumstances have not changed, but slowly and surely your word is taking root in our hearts, and in it we have confident rest.
You know, one of the amazing things for me as an American is that the people celebrate Christmas, and actually we can go out to the hospitals with a choir and sing Christian Christmas carols. We can't do that in the United States. You know, in the schools, they talk about Christmas, they have Christmas programs. In the United States, we have holiday programs. We can't even have Christmas programs. So, I mean, in some ways, here we are in a Muslim country, and we have as much freedom, and in some areas, actually more freedom than we have in our own.
Right next door, the largest religious community apart from the Muslims, the Hindus, gather for prayers. Can you imagine such a situation in Germany? No, I can't imagine it. Hindus and all Orthodox persuasions, Protestants and Catholics, all within an area of perhaps a quarter of a kilometre. Where else in the world can you find that? It's policy here that all other religions have the possibility to satisfy their needs, through their feelings, through religious ritual, the right to practice their religion without compulsion or fear.
Thank you very much. For those who are interested to gain a copy of this documentary film, the DVD is offered next step from, it's just few steps from here, from this hall, free of charge. Everyone is welcome to have a copy of it. Ladies and gentlemen, historically and religiously, the year 629 was a key date for the Omanis. That was the year that the two kings of Oman, Abd and Jafar, sons of Julanda, received a message, a letter from the Prophet Mohammed asking them to convert to his new religion. Delegations between the kings and the Prophet were exchanged to study and consider this proposal. Abd and Jafar became convinced and converted freely, and it followed that Islam was accepted peacefully in Oman. Ever since, the Omanis have been seeking cooperation with others, and avoiding violence based on religious differences. Over the centuries, various ethnic groups which were under pressure in other regions of the world found a new home in Oman, where they were accepted and are nowadays also regular citizens of the nation. The philosophy of Islam is based on principles of religious tolerance and the avoidance of conflict and violence. Other religious views or models of interpretations must be respected. Prayers in the mosques throughout the country of Oman are conducted with both Sunnis and Shiites side by side with ibadis. The communal prayers to God knows no theological dispute. Everyone must answer for himself before God. The basic law of the State of Oman, issued on 6 November 1996, comprising 81 articles, laid down a legal framework of reference governing the function of the different authorities and separating their powers. It also offered safeguard to guarantee the freedom, dignity, and rights of the individual. This historic document sets out Oman's system of government and guiding principles behind the state's policies, and also details public rights and duties. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing better than to spread messages of goodwill to all people. It is our strong belief that peace and stability can only be realized today in any society through dialogue and understanding. And we sincerely believe that by working together, we can achieve the goals of religious acceptance and peaceful coexistence. The Sultanate of Oman has been sharing its peaceful philosophy at home and abroad for centuries. Oman's Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs has been promoting dialogue among nations for decades to foster mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence on a global scale. Among these initiatives, the Sultanate launched the exhibition Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence, Oman's Message of Islam in 2010 as one part of its comprehensive approach promoting these values. This was not a public relation campaign, nor simply out of the goodness of their heart, but as a continuation of Oman's long-standing tradition of conducting dialogue and commerce with diverse communities and cultures. This exhibition has appeared in more than 115 cities in more than 35 countries since its starting in 2010. During the last 8 years, an international team has built a unique worldwide network reaching almost all levels of society in more than 30 nations. The informatic panels in this exhibition present aspects of modern Arab country and offers the visitor insights into the practice of Islam in daily life, an examination of contemporary Omani society and the role of women in society. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the rules of coexistence in Oman are, in my opinion, a mixture of the long traditions of openness on culture, a moderate understanding of religion, political effectiveness on handling all what related to terrorism and sectarian intolerance, effective laws which protect religious freedom, and the Omanis are focusing on building the nation while keeping away the destruction and conflicts. Thank you very much for your listening. Now I would like to share with you as well some video highlights of our exhibition, Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence, Oman's message of Islam.
Oman, a sultanate in the southwest of the Arabian Peninsula where mountains and desert meet the Indian Ocean and Africa and India lie across the waves. The Omanis were always able seamen, the maritime trade routes their connection to the world. Trade shaped the Omanis, and Omanis shaped trade through their fairness, openness, and religious tolerance. Over the centuries, many voyagers to the Near East confirmed this. For instance, this report from the Englishman Georg from 1825. They worship no saints and have neither convents nor dervishes. They have a great regard for justice and a universal tolerance for other religions. The peaceful coexistence of diverse religions in Oman is viewed in the Sultanate as an accomplishment to be proud of, which they gladly share with others. And so it came to be that the Ministry of Endowments and Religious Affairs created the idea for the International Exhibition Project, Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence, Oman's Message of Islam.
Risalatul Islam.
The voice of Oman is now starting to be heard all over the world. This project aims to be a global speech presenting humanitarian values based in human dignity and respect for people's rights. It also aims to present the experience of the Sultanate of Oman in the fields of tolerance, coexistence, and understanding between nations, civilizations and religions, peoples and cultures. The exhibition shows the face of Islam in Oman and religious life in the land today. The selection of themes proceeded according to a certain principle.
Wichtig in diesem Zusammenhang ist sicherlich die Auswahl der Themen.
Important in this connection is the choice of subjects, which was based on presenting what the cultures have in common and not that which makes them different.
Was die Leute voneinander trennt.
The basic idea was to bring the exhibition and its message to the people, to present it in public places where it would be seen by many.
What worried me in the beginning was being able to place this exhibition in appropriate institutions. What astounds me now is the caliber of institutions around the world asking for the exhibition.
Since 2010, the exhibition is touring the world. First throughout Germany, then Europe, and now the whole world. To date in more than 30 countries and in 23 languages. The exhibition has been hosted so far at adult education centers, universities, city halls, libraries, government ministries, and museums of renown. It is used as a focal point in meetings, conferences, and special events. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Malta remarked in 2014, "The exhibition comes at a very important time as violence and extremism prevail throughout the world." Where enough space is available, sculptures, historical manuscripts, original paintings, calligraphy, and shadow art are also shown. The hashtag Act for Tolerance was created for social media to inspire young artists and motivate youth to help spread the word. Performing artists help to enliven the proceedings at events with a high level of participation. In October 2015, the exhibition was hosted for the first time at UNESCO headquarters in Paris, and again in November in conjunction with the 38th General Conference. On this occasion, the emblem of the project in the form of a glass sculpture was presented to UNESCO and became part of its permanent art collection at the headquarters in Paris. Director General Bokova praised the efforts of the Sultanate for its policies promoting education, science, and culture, along with its continuous support of the international organization contributing to its ability to play its required role. In order to make this information available internationally and at any time, the organizers have created their own internet domain in 18 languages. The technical implementation involving so many languages and different writing systems was a challenge, but the composition of the team doing the work was a stroke of luck.
Yo vengo de una ciudad, Sevilla.
I come from a city, Sevilla, which presents a diverse mix of artistic styles from various epochs and civilization.
Al final el trabajo fuera muy fácil.
The exhibition and the internet site are important elements in the Sultanate's endeavor to promote mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence among nations. Oman, a country with a historic tradition of openness and acceptance, a Muslim country where various religions have lived peacefully together for centuries, a country that sees this heritage as a legacy that it wants to share with the world.
Thank you for Dr. Al-Mamari for this presentation. But what I believe, what makes the message of Oman of tolerance and coexistence so credible is not what we say and what we present, but it's the testimony of others. That's what makes us credible and true to our message of tolerance and coexistence. And by saying this, I present our third speaker, Mr. Georg Popp, founding member of BARAZA. It's a non-profit organization that promotes tolerance in culture, religion, and understanding among nations. Mr. Popp is also managing director of the company Arabia, FELIX, under whose umbrella cultural projects, consulting services, and tours of the Sultanate are organized. He is also Secretary General of the German Omani Association, visual artist, entrepreneur, photographer, and author of the first Oman travel guide, published guide, right, in Germany. Since 2010, he has been responsible for the conception and management of the project Tolerance, Understanding, Coexistence, Oman Message of Islam. So let's hear it from his point of view. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for your introduction. Yeah, so I think very important is the international team which is behind it. And I think what is exceptional is that we all work together on a same level. So what you have seen here, or what you see in the hall outside there, is the result of many months we were working together, side by side, thinking about how we can break down complex topics like tolerance, understanding, coexistence, religion, social topics, in a way that everyone can understand, even without being a scholar, without being someone who really already started to think about it. Because the important fact behind this exhibition is that we said right from the beginning, we don't want to buy space. We want to get outside, we want to get into public places, and we come to the people. Not like a normal exhibition. You rent a space somewhere, you announce you have an exhibition, and you wait for someone to come. No. We have a different concept. Say, no, we have to go to the people. Because if you sit there in your room and wait someone to come to inform himself about tolerance, understanding, coexistence, and especially about a different approach of Islam than he sees always in media, you can wait for long. Few people will come. So we changed the concept completely and said, okay, well, we get outside. So for the translators, maybe some small repose. So for me, this is one of the most important points for the success also. So we combine this my Western experience, having friends in Oman since 1983, having a very close relation, and very many very positive experiences, being a Christian, being a foreigner, and being welcomed in this country like someone being Omani.
Thank you. We promised before we start giving you the floor for questions, we had promised you earlier in the beginning that this session will also be a little bit an interactive session. So I'm going to give it back to our first speakers where he can prop the other two and get some more answers from them. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you. I hope, colleagues, friends, you've all had the opportunity to visit the exhibition. If you haven't, please do come and visit us. I'll also give you the answers to the quizzes earlier on as well, so you can get 2 for the price of 1. But this exhibition, of course, as you've seen, is quite a monumental task. It's toured the world, there's a huge logistical operation behind it, and you've heard that from Georg, but also the video itself. And I have a question for Sheikh Mohammed Al-Mamari in relation to what the expectations were from Oman.
Expectation is various, but what is essential is to continue our message, which is goes back 5,000 years of international relations, Oman toward others, toward the world. So it is our message to continue the same message that our ancestors went back and they used their humanity values to be with other nations, not in Oman, but outside Oman. And as the seafarers, Omanis, they went through all over the world to spread this message. So what we are expecting is, our expectation is to see every individual in this world believe in the same message of living together in harmony and peaceful coexistence. The world, as I said in my speech, is suffering of wars, conflicts all over places and nations, and we need the voice of wisdom among these conflicts. So I think what we are doing with our project is to bring this wisdom to others, and we expect that we would like to reach as much as we can.
Thank you. In my interactions with several people who have been to see the exhibition, they often ask the question about Oman. Where is Oman? The flag, how you identify it on a map. And the word that's often been used is hidden, that Oman is a hidden part of the Middle East. Yet we have a very high-profile project here. So I'd like to ask what the thinking was behind that.
About the project, because I was in Germany since 2003, and once I met Georg Popp in 2008 in an exhibition as well. It was an exhibition about, you remember, Georg? It's about Omani culture. And no, it was specifically about Omani culture, but also about Quranic manuscripts in Oman. So it was an exhibition about Quranic manuscripts. Georg was at that time a visitor of the exhibition, and he saw the exhibition, and he told me this is not the right place, not the right time for this exhibition. So I asked him, what do you think? What is better to do? He said, okay, we can sit together and discuss what we can do. And that was the time we started the project, to development of the project. Until 2010, April, the first exhibition was held in Germany. So the idea behind that is to build bridges between nations, people, traditions. The lack of communication, the lack of knowledge is the problems of a lot of conflicts. So we want to make these bridges through the experience what we have in Oman toward the world.
Georg, coming to you now for a minute. I remember back in 2012 when I had this very strange email which arrived. And I responded to it. I thought, well, maybe there may be something behind it. You know, how you get lots of emails and many end up elsewhere. But I responded, and within 10 minutes I had a phone call, which made me realize there must be something serious behind this. And for me, it was quite clear that what the exhibition did was it offered an opportunity to challenge established narratives. It wasn't just a fixed exhibition, it was a creative exhibition. It was one which provoked questions, but also provided answers. And partners have to see the benefits in that. And George, if I just come to you, because you've been around the world with this, what have partners expressed to you in terms of the benefits of having the exhibition?
Basically, one can say for all the partners, yeah, the exhibition just was a tool to reflect about Islam and about the topic of tolerance, understanding and coexistence within their own society without touching the problems they have within their city and within their community. Because Oman is a very small country, a small population, and basically only a few places in the world you find many Omanis. Yeah? So to give you an example, for example, in Germany, where we had many, many exhibitions, we have a big problem that if you talk about Islam and Muslims in society, immediately everybody thinks about the Turkish community, about the problems we have within the country, about support from Saudi Arabia, and for example also for Turkey, which want to take over the influence on the Muslim communities. Yeah. So, on the other hand, you also have all this negative impact from media. You always hear about Islam basically in a negative context. So this exhibition was a unique opportunity to talk about Islam, to talk about a Muslim country basically no one knows about, and also about Ibadiyya, so a way of Muslim thinking and philosophy also within the Muslim world almost nobody knows about. So it was ideal to break the prejudices which people have in mind. And as I said before, we were going to the people. So our main partner, for example, in Germany had been the Adult Education Network, for example, in Munich. So we did place in cooperation with the Gasteig, as it was a headquarter, the exhibition in the entrance area. To give you an idea, the Gasteig Munich is the biggest cultural center in Europe. So per day, roughly 7,000 to 8,000 people pass by. And we just put it in their way. And they are visiting courses. They're coming there regularly every week to visit their courses. They don't come there to visit the exhibition. No, they come there to visit their computer courses whatsoever. But by going there, they will be confronted with the exhibition. And you get them one day. And the big challenge of the exhibition was to write very short texts in a very simple way that people may understand, even though they are not thinking about visiting an exhibition. To give you an example also for what is the impact, we can talk for hours. Yeah? Basically, in every exhibition we did, something followed, something happened, or there's a reason behind why people wanted to book the exhibition. One of the most interesting things that happened was in a vocational school in a city in Germany, Augsburg, where the director said, okay, let's do an experiment. For 2 months, we break down the barriers between religious instructions within our school. So, no more separate instructions in Catholic belief, in Protestant belief, in ethics. So, let's sit together, all together, the different teachers and the students, and reflect about the common ground we have, the common ethics. And let the kids and the young people tell about their own experience, about their religion to the others. Because this was is missing in our school system, and I think it's a big problem. And this way of religious instruction also causes a lot of the problems we have right in the moment, because people talk about religion without really knowing about it. So we have to go to the kids, we have to go to the schools and learn them the basics so that no one can tell them any bullshit about another religion. So they did this for 2 months, and the interesting thing is all other vocational schools in the city joined the idea. So we ended up with roughly 10,000 young people in the city doing religious instruction in a different way than normal. Another second example, which was very surprising for me, was when I got a phone call from the German Ministry for your refugees and migration. I said, what's happened now? Yeah? What do you want from me? Yeah? They said, okay, we heard about your exhibition project, and we would like to get the project in-house in our ministry. Because once a year we have a general meeting of our senior staff, and they come from all over the world to meet, to discuss about the future strategies. And the problem we see in our house is all these officials, as they are dealing with refugees and migration, in general, they deal with problems. So we want to avoid that all these officials come down to a level that's thinking, okay, Islam always is trouble. So please, can we have the exhibition and a lecture by a senior scholar from Oman to our senior staff to make them aware the Muslim world is much more different. And in our everyday life in the offices, we are only dealing with exceptions. So there are many examples like this. And so every city, every location had their own reason.
Thank you. Thank you. Your Excellency.
I thank you. And before we continue this interaction, I would like to give time to the floor because I'm sure some of you must have questions. So I'll open it for discussion. Any questions? If you don't have questions, we can continue our interaction. Oh, there is a question back there. Please.
Thank you. I was aware of Oman geographically, but I wasn't aware of your long history of tolerance. And I realized that your religious tolerance has not gone over well with some of your immediate neighbors. And how do you handle that? It's been in the news lately. How do you address that with your immediate neighbors? You're setting an example which one would hope they would follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wants to answer these questions? Well, actually what I think is happening, I heard this question by many of the ambassadors, by all the problem and the issues that are happening in the Middle East. What makes Oman so unique and what makes Oman so capable of keeping its neutrality? I think this is what the question is. Part of it, it's because His Majesty's political, as we said, foreign policy is we don't interfere with others and we don't like others to interfere with us. We believe in tolerance, we believe of not interfering with others, and that's the policy that we'll go by. And I think maybe Mr. or Dr. Al-Mamari would like to add some more to that, please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Yes, that is one of the reasons. But also, through the history, the Omanis avoiding always not to be part of the problems around them, and also they don't consider themselves as part of solution as well. They are peacemakers, always. They try to bring peace among people who are interested to gain help from Oman or from Omanis. And this happened through the history, and there are a lot of examples about the role of Omanis to bring people together. The openness of Omanis, it's also very essential of that. We are facing the Indian Ocean, which is the fifth, maybe we can say 60% of the international trades go through Indian Ocean. A fifth of the population of the globe is around Indian Ocean. So the openness of Omanis through the Indian Ocean toward other parts of the world gave the Omanis the experience of welcoming others and explore other nations and traditions. And this makes them respect every religion, culture, people, anything in the world, because they saw themselves by their eyes, by their hearts, how the others live. So we have a lot of things that makes Oman an example and oasis of wisdom and oasis of tolerance among the nations. Since the time of the Prophet Mohammed, peace be upon him, he emphasized about this thing, about the Omanis. It is said that one day the Prophet sent a messenger to one tribe in Arabia where they beated him and insulted him. He came back to the Prophet Mohammed and told him about this, what happened sadly. The Prophet Mohammed said, if you have visited the people of Oman, they were neither insulted nor beaten you. So the message, the essence of tolerance toward others is there, and it is well known in Oman through their history.
Okay, I'll turn back to our first speaker, Mr. Ravat, to continue his interaction, and then we'll go back to you, audience, for any more questions. Please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. As an outsider looking in, just to add a bit more to what was said earlier on, you'd have noticed if you look at the map of the region, you have Oman, you have so many other countries that are in the news and facing challenges, quite difficult challenges. Similar to what I said earlier on with the slides, Oman is changing the narrative. Oman is saying we don't have to choose one or another, that there is a different way in which we can govern ourselves, there is a different way in which we can communicate messages. So it doesn't have to be about a choice between one side or indeed another side. And it requires huge nerves of steel. And as an observer from the outside, I've seen that this comes from the top, comes from His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, who has kept his resolve that Oman will steady a path which it favors, but a path which is inclusive and open towards others. But it is, of course, very, very challenging. It's a very, very good question that the colleague asked from the floor. Just going back to another aspect of the exhibition, we focused a lot on the international element of it, but there's also an internal element too. And my question is to Sheikh Mohammed, what do you think were the most important local ideas to you internally?
About the exhibition? The most important thing for me about internal in Oman is to bring this awareness among new generation about the importance of living together. Nowadays we are facing a lot of problems because of the social media, because of the revolution of technical equipments and values, and many challenges are there. So my aim is also to bring this awareness of the importance of living together with others among the Omanis, the young generation. That's why we provided some lectures and workshops in universities in Oman, in the schools for children, to bring this awareness. The Omanis, most of them, they live in harmony. They don't think about tolerance because this is their daily practices. But they need also to learn how to be tolerant and how to be open toward others and how to live with other nations when they go abroad or be studying outside the country. So they need these tools to be learned. as well as that the young generation needs also the answers about Oman. The same question we face today about why Oman is unique, why Oman is different, what we can learn from your country. So we provide also internally in Oman such answers for the youth.
Thank you. And perhaps a question for each of you. If I could ask you, what was your one key learning point from the project, what would that be? George, start with you.
For me, it is that as we were looking for partners around the world, and we found them very easily. So, in fact, we were flooded with requests. So, there is a global request for positive news. People are basically fed up of the bad news of the media, and they want to get a first-hand experience which gives them a different impression of the world, a different impression which gives them the hope that it's not that bad as media will try to believe us.
Thank you. To you. Your one key learning point. The simplest questions are always the most difficult.
Yes, indeed, it's difficult. But what I learned from this project is that it opened the gate for me to learn from other cultures and religions around the world. It gave me opportunity to meet incredible people who are doing incredible things around the world. Like today when I met Master Chin Kong and what he's doing around the world. This opportunity cannot be, for me, no way to meet such incredible people without the project. So this project opened my mind, opened my eyes, opened my heart to learn from everyone, every single person from this world. We can learn from each other. In the beginning, maybe myself, I was looking myself like this. But now, after 115 cities I visited for the past 10 years, I look myself like this. I need to learn more from others. We need also to learn from each other. So I think this is one of the most important things I learned from this project.
This exhibition is actually being the second time presented in UNESCO. That it's the uniqueness of it. Every time it comes to UNESCO, sometimes you wonder, are we repeating ourselves? But I found out, no, we're not, because every time it presents itself in a new way. And all this depends because of the interaction with the audience. And before I go back to you and ask if you have questions, I'm going to turn the table to him and ask him his question. So if you can answer us. Thank you.
Of course. So I will respond by saying, building on what was said earlier on, for me it was a remarkable exhibition which tells you, the message was never stop learning, or indeed learning never stops. It doesn't matter how well you feel or you believe that you know the work that you're doing, whether it's the interfaith world or whether you follow your faith in a particular way, there will always be somebody around the world who does things slightly differently. And the lesson for me was that, yes, there is diversity across faiths, but there's also a huge amount of diversity within. And if we use that as a benchmark for understanding one another, then it allows us to have that openness, that open heart, that open spirit, which is needed to engage with somebody who is different to you.
Thank you. Any more questions from the audience? Where? Okay, please.
Thank you very much. Richard Teuton from Toowoomba, Brisbane. One question I would like to pose is, as a result of visiting the exhibition, do you find those who do see the exhibition and have enjoyed it in their own country take the time and the effort to visit Oman in person? Because I've been to Oman twice and it's a very fascinating place, but I'm wondering, as a result of the exhibition, do people actually say, I came to Oman because I saw the exhibition?
It could be indirectly. Our aim is not promoting Oman on tourism or any kind of promoting the country. But this is a message. This is the message what we care in this exhibition, and we would like to share it with others around the world. We don't claim that is the only, is it the perfect experience around the world. But we think it's an experience in Oman that people may learn from it. So this is a message from us to the world, but maybe some people would like to visit Oman after they're seeing the exhibition, but this is not an essential element of our project.
Maybe I can add something also. If you are looking for partners which provide you with a space free of charge, you're ending up with people which are very much careful about not presenting something which looks like to being just a marketing thing. So we very strictly keep away from any tourism advertisement. So this is a no-go, and also it's a no-go for basically all our partners.
If I may add something, what we want to understand, like the doctor said, this is not a propaganda. This is the thing we have to understand. It's not propaganda for Oman. But what we want you take out of this, it's the message itself. It's what it means to us and how we are tolerant and why do we believe in this and why is it important to Oman and important to the rest of the world. This is our message. It's not Oman propaganda to come visit. No, it's not. I mean, we would love you to visit. That's not the point. But the point is our message. And because it's genuine message, it reaches people and becomes credible from what we heard from the testimonies of others. This is what's important to us, and that's what makes the difference. I'll go back. I'm sure he has more questions, so please, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Your Excellency. George, I come to you now with questions about where next, because of course with exhibitions at a certain point the question will be how do we develop, how do we take things forward. So what are your future plans for the project?
Okay, the next stop of the exhibition will be the German version. So just to add, this exhibition exists right in the moment in 23 languages. So the next exhibition will be in Germany, in German language, in Nuremberg, which is also quite interesting. There's a museum in Nuremberg which booked the exhibition for half a year, which is quite remarkable. We never had something like this before. And most remarkable is when you look to the present political situation in Germany. We have a big problem with right-wing politics, with Islamophobia, with a lot of propaganda against refugees. And Nuremberg, maybe you know, was, during Hitler, the propaganda center for fascism. So it's quite remarkable that in this city, they booked this exhibition for half a year to counter this kind of political propaganda, which is quite virulent right in Germany right in the moment. And there, for example, in addition to the exhibition, they have a lot of activities from the city. So the mayor takes care personally for the exhibition, with Amnesty International, with a lot of social institutions. So they make a firework of lectures and activities for half a year to counter intolerance. So this is the next stop. And the next interesting stop, maybe for you to know, it will be in April at the United Nations in New York. So all in all, we have right in the moment roughly 20 locations on the waiting list. So we are working on it.
Thank you. And colleagues who have visited the exhibition will have noticed on the literature table that there is a subsidiary, I guess, a spin-off called BARAZA. Here's your opportunity, George. Tell us what BARAZA is.
As you already said, BARAZA is a spin-off of this project. As we were touring around the whole world within the last 8 years, meeting people which have the same mindset we have from all walks of life. So they developed a huge global network. And we did several conferences where we met some various people of this network. And one of the results of these meetings was we should try to work together more in a new organization, an NGO, to develop ideas, products for the future, which, of course, again, Oman is just the initiative to start something, but we can do then things which are not directly related to Oman. Yeah? So we decided to found the organization BARAZA, and I'm lucky from our advisory board, 4 people are present in this conference. And what we are doing is just basically emphasizing on education, religious education and cultural education. One of the things you have seen outside maybe, you have this coloring book. It's a small thing, but I think it's important. We organize this and finance it through crowdfunding. And for every one of you, there's a copy outside, so if you're interested, you can take a copy with you. There's a small film we did on it. Maybe we can show it.
The nonprofit organization BARAZA has produced a coloring book so that kids can learn about the world's major religions in an entertaining way. It's free to download. Printed copies can be ordered online. We're hoping to raise enough funds to have it produced in many more languages, with printed copies for sponsors to give away themselves.
Yeah, so it's just small clips we do on fundraising platforms, and thanks to the help for translation also by the Association of Master Ching Kung's Friends at UNESCO, we were able to make a new copy, including Chinese and Arabic, which is now outside. So the latest project is supporting education on intercultural and interreligious affairs in Nepal. So maybe also there's also one more clip, and then you have an idea what we are doing.
It was founded to support multicultural projects around the globe. In this campaign, we seek your support for the nonprofit Vision for Innovative Society, who are creating multicultural workshops for students in Kathmandu secondary schools. These educational programs are aimed at ensuring Nepalese students have the knowledge and understanding to ensure Nepal's long history of peaceful multiculturalism is passed on to the next generation, so that Nepal can continue to be a beacon of unity and diversity for the rest of the world.
Yeah, so step by step, we just develop ideas. We get ideas from our network partners, like here, this project Kids Can Do in Kathmandu by our partner Shushma Pant from Kathmandu. So out of this project on tolerance in Oman, a lot of things develop, also within us.
Thank you, George. Your Excellency.
We like also to be on time, So since we reached the end of our time of the panel, I'd like to thank all the three speakers. And also, I believe our message of Oman should be, or what you take is, no tolerance can be sustainable without a strong mutual respect and open dialogue among people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, panelists. May we invite you for the group photo in front of the stage. Thank you very much, panelists.